Second mic check.
Mic check.
Good.
She's already doing it.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is, thank you. It's June. Welcome to June. Who would have thought? June 5th, 2025. My name is Mike Kelly. I am the Chair of the Board of County Commissioners for Johnson County, Kansas. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to today's meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. We're going to start today by asking the clerk to call the roll.
Commissioner Fast. Aye. Commissioner Myers.
Myers, aye.
Commissioner Brewer is absent. Commissioner Hanslick.
Hanslick here.
Commissioner Ashcraft.
Here.
Commissioner Allenbrand.
Allenbrand, aye.
And Chairman Kelly.
Aye, we have a quorum present, so we have a duly constituted meeting. If you'd all join me to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all very much. And thank you for being here at our meeting today or for watching online. If you would join me in checking your cell phone or any other noise-making device that you may have brought with you today. And just as a matter of courtesy for you, for me, for everybody who's going to participate in today's meeting, if you check to see that it's on silent or turned off, we really appreciate your cooperation. We are going to start today with a proclamation, and I'm going to head to the dais for that proclamation. So as we have for the last 2 years, we are proclaiming Friday, June 6, 2025, to be National Gun Violence Awareness Day. Every day, an average of 125 people are shot and killed, and hundreds more are wounded or traumatized in the United States of America. It remains the leading cause of preventable death in our country. Cities and counties across the nation, including Johnson County, are working to end the senseless violence with evidence-based solutions. Our local law enforcement and its partners, including violent intervention activists and resources, know this community. They're familiar with local criminal activity and how to address it, and they are best positioned to understand how to keep our citizens safe. Gun violence prevention is more important than ever as we see an increase in firearm homicides and non-fatal shootings across our country, increased calls to domestic violence hotlines, and an increase in city gun violence. We recognize that this is not only a public safety issue, but really an issue of public health. And a comprehensive solution is necessary for our community. We therefore proclaim the first Friday in June, June 6th, to be National Gun Violence Awareness Day. We encourage all citizens to support their local community's efforts to prevent these tragic events and to honor and value human lives. We realize that there are comprehensive and common sense solutions that the majority of citizens in the United States, the majority of Kansans, the majority of Johnson Countyans believe in. And we hope that we can work with all partners at the federal level and at the state level to have a real meaningful conversation about common sense solutions, evidence-based solutions that will have demonstrable impact in our community. I, along with many others, wear orange for not only my kids, but for yours. We'll be lighting the county administration building orange tomorrow in solidarity with those who stand for these comprehensive and common sense solutions. It's my pleasure to introduce an important member of our community. That's Leanna Waters Barkley from the organization Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America to say a few more words.
Thank you, Chairman Kelly and board members, commissioners. My name is Leanna Waters Barkley, and I'm a member of Johnson County Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America. This proclamation is an important recognition of the daily tragedies our country faces due to gun violence. From the horrors of Columbine, Uvalde, and our own Kansas City Super Bowl celebrations, we recognize this deadly problem, from intimate partner violence to gun suicides, gun homicides, and unintentional shootings. It continues on and on. We wear orange to demand a future free from gun violence. Orange symbolizes the value of each person's life, and we wear it to honor those killed and wounded by gun violence and call for the end of this crisis. Orange is the color designated by hunters for safety. It says, "Stop, see me, I'm human, I have value." National Gun Violence Awareness Day is an annual event that takes place on the first Friday in June, and it is the beginning of Wear Orange Weekend. Wear Orange is dedicated to honoring the voices of those demanding an end to gun violence. Wear Orange originated on June 2nd, 2015, what would have been Hadia Pendleton's 18th birthday. It began with her friends wanting to honor her after she was shot and killed by random gunfire. Today, Wear Orange honors Hadia and the more than 125 people shot and killed every day in the United States, as well as the hundreds more who are wounded. And sadly, in 2025, gun violence is the #1 cause of death for our children. We cannot turn our heads away from this community health epidemic. So we wear orange. We raise our voices on National Gun Violence Awareness Day. We remember the millions of lives taken or changed by gun violence. We demand action in their honor. We would like to invite you to join us this coming Saturday, June 7th at 9 a.m. at Harmon Park for a rally to raise awareness of gun violence problem in our state and in our country. And you can wear orange and join us. I also want to thank this board for their continued support. It's been years. It's been more than 2 years. It's been 2 years under you, but it's been at least 8 years that this board has supported anti-gun violence in our county. And we really, you've demonstrated unwavering commitment to doing whatever it takes to reduce gun violence, and we thank you.
And thank you. Yes, 2 years under me, but this board has been doing this important work for a long time, and I'm glad to be a member of a considerate body. In that show of solidarity, I'd invite any of the commissioners who choose to join me in a picture with the advocates from Moms Demand as we present the proclamation.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. I'm sorry I don't have orange on. I feel so bad. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you, folks. We'll now move to the public comment portion of our agenda. This is an opportunity for speakers to speak about any items of county business that do not appear on today's action agenda. If you do want to speak on an action item, we ask that you register with that item in advance. And if you happen to speak on an action item during this general public comment session, we're going to ask that you refrain at this time because this is an opportunity to address general issues of county concern. When you do come to the dais, we ask that you state your name and the community in which you reside. These comments are limited to 2 minutes. There's a clock on either side of the dais that will aid you with that time limit. If we happen to go beyond that time limit, I will ask you to conclude your comments. We do ask that members of the public refrain from remarks that are personally offensive, impertinent, profane, or slanderous, that would insult or demean any person. If we happen to stray into that kind of public comment, we'll ask that you refrain. If it continues, we will ask that you step aside from the dais. It's my understanding that although we allow virtual public comments, that none have registered for today's meeting, and therefore we'll move straight to the in-person public comments. In the order that folks registered, we'll start with Ben Hobart.
Ben Holbert, Westwood Hills. Chairman Kelly and Commissioners, my comments today relate to your $5,500,000 toilet travesty rainwater catchment proposed for the Health Services Building. Anyone can review my detailed analysis of why this system will capture less than 70,000 gallons of water a year, not the 2 million gallons suggested by Mr. Barron. My analysis is set forth in public comments of April 17, April 24, May 1, and May 8th. I devoted so much time to this matter because it is truly a waste of $5.5 million. Put this waste into perspective. Most teachers in this county have a salary between $60,000 and $80,000 a year. The 5 commissioners who approved this waste are throwing away 2 lifetimes of the work of teachers. One thing is certain, the truth never leaves the room. Commissioner Fast approved this waste. Commissioner Brewer sat silent and voted in favor of this waste. Chairman Kelly adamantly approved this waste. Commissioner Hanslick said, "I approve this waste." Commissioner Ellenbrand, despite filling our landfills with all the demolition debris from a 1991 building, wholeheartedly approved this waste. No private citizen or business would waste money in this manner. But our Johnson County, Kansas Board of Commissioners, a majority of them, 5, will gladly waste $5.5 million. Are you all really going to waste $5.5 million? Citizens should take note. We are tax donkeys. Remember in November. Thank you.
Next is Brian Perkins.
Good morning. Brian Perkins here. I currently reside in Olathe, Kansas. This Sunday, I had a pretty awesome opportunity to go to Eden Village, where there's a community barbecue. And a church out there, they all came in and we had a little concert there. And I will tell you how much fun that was. There was positivity. There was shared laughter, a joking conversation. Pam and I actually, we got to be bagged partners with a gentleman named Kenny and Paul against us that lived at the community. It was so much fun. There was laughter because they're safe. They have a roof over their head. They have community. There were shared testimonies. And I got to go, Paul invited me inside his home. It's such a homey vibe. It's a homey community because of safety. This past week, there was a tornado watch. A few of us were texting, where do we go? How do we stay safe? If they didn't have the library to go to, where were they gonna go? They're out in this. They're out in the wilderness. With uncertainty, with fear, the unknown. And I will tell you, through all of this, we're still here, we're still being fun, we're still positive, because we have hope. We want to come together with you. We want to work together, and we can do it. I love these people, like they're my family, they're my friends. It's something so simple as a roof, a bed, what that can do for us. It can help us get our lives back, just knowing we're safe with a roof over our head. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Charlotte O'Hara.
Good morning. Charlotte O'Hara. What a beautiful spring we've had. The temperatures are very moderate. My flowers are very happy. And what an honor it is to be able to come in public comments and have them broadcast. It's a long, bitter battle, but we won. Again, I am coming before you. I do not have the actual book from the Moms for Liberty, but asking of what value are those books that are compiled in the Moms for Liberty parent guide, of what value are these to our children? This pornography epidemic in our country is just absolutely out of control. And I just learned this week that the average age for a boy to first encounter pornography is 5th grade. And by the time they're 18, that they are interfacing with pornography on a regular basis. And it doesn't matter your income, your ethnicity, your religion. The only demographic difference that impacts this is a strong father who warns his son not to engage in this kind of behavior. And yet we put forth this type of obscene material to our children in our libraries and our schools. Please consider this as you go forward. Thank you.
Next is Jim Schmidt.
Good morning, Jim Schmidt from Lenexa, 38 years. I'm going to read you the lyrics to a song that I think speaks well to this housing and homelessness issue here. I can't see it, but listen. How many roads must a man walk down before you call him a man? How many seas must a white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? Yes, and how many times must the cannonballs fly before they are forever banned? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. Yes, and how many years must a mountain exist before it is washed to the sea? Yes, and how many years can some people exist before they are allowed to be free? Yes, and how many times can a man turn his head and pretend that he just doesn't see? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. Yes, and how many times must a man look up before he can see the sky? Yes, and how many ears must one man have before he can hear the people cry? Yes, and how many deaths will it take till he knows that too many people have died? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. And just an idea, like I've been working with the homeless now like 28 years, and I've heard nothing but procrastination and nothing getting done. And this is my county. I've lived here probably longer than most of you guys. So please do something.
Thank you. Next is Pam Randolph.
Hi, my name is Pam Randolph. I'm originally from Colorado, and I've been homeless since April, the end of April. And it has really stressed me out. I don't know where I'm going to have a place to lay my head at night, because every time we do, we get erupted by the police officers in Overland Park. And I don't know, I'm having a hard time dealing with it right now. And Mike, I am asking, Mr. Kelly, I should say, I am asking you for help, like everybody else in here, of the home, Brian, Don, LeBron, and everybody else is here for the homeless. We need your support, sincerely. Thank you.
Thank you. believe that's all the registered public commenters we have for today. So I'll ask the clerk when we can move to the notes for the record.
Chair, we are ready.
Thank you. For the record, I'll be signing Administrative Resolution Number WD 25-020. This enlarges the privately financed sewer district and provides for the assessment of all applicable fees, charges, and levies of the Consolidated Main Sewer District in the vicinity of 7017 Mill Creek Road. With that, we will move to our consent agenda. Commissioner Ashcraft has asked that number 3 be removed from the consent agenda, so it'll be placed onto action. So I'd ask if there's a motion for the consent agenda as amended. Commissioner Hanslick.
I move to approve the consent agenda as amended to items 1 and 2.
So moved by Commissioner Hanslick. Is there a second?
Second, Allenbrand, second.
Seconded by Commissioner Allenbrand. Will the clerk call the roll on the consent agenda as amended?
Commissioner Fast. Aye. Commissioner Myers.
Myers, aye.
Commissioner Hanslick.
Hanslick, aye.
Commissioner Ashcraft.
Yes.
Commissioner Allenbrand.
Allenbrand, aye.
And Chairman Kelly.
Aye, we have 6 in favor, none against. Is that consistent with your count?
That is correct.
Very good. Well, then we'll move on at this time to item number 3, which is considering the acceptance of the resignation of Devin Self as trustee of the Gardner Township and appointing David Wolf as the 6th district nominee for trustee of Gardner Township. Commissioner Allenbrand.
Thank you, Chair. Well, this is in my district, so I think I can kind of explain. So Mr. Self has a young family and applied for this and wasn't quite sure of all the responsibilities that this included, and it was, he just stepped down. He sent a letter of recognitions with his regrets. And Mr. Wolf has been in this position before and has provided an application, and we've gone through with the election office, and so everybody's aware of this letter of resignation, and we need to move forward so Mr. Wolf can sign the documents that needs to be signed for the trustees. Is there anything else I can help you with, Commissioner Ashcraft?
No, I appreciate
Okay.
the public comment.
No problem.
Okay, if there's not any discussion on this item, I'll take a motion. Commissioner Fast?
So I grew up on a township board, but there's often this problem when you have one resign and then there's no one taking over. So there is somebody as the interim.
Yes, Commissioner Fast. So Mr. Wolf actually has been a longstanding trustee there and neglected to know that, that he needed to file. And Mr. Self filed and didn't realize all the responsibility it holds a cemetery and other responsibilities. And there's also not only with the county, but also with the city of Gardner, for the cemetery. So there's a lot of responsibilities for that position. So I think Mr. Self will come back in the future. It's just right now with the young family, it's just more than what he can handle. So he's a good young man.
Okay.
But Commissioner Fast, that is an ongoing struggle out in the townships when there may be 1 or 2 homes and trying to find somebody to serve on those townships.
Well, Commissioner
You wanna make
Allenbrand,
me
it's
an,
your district. Would you mind making the motion for us?
I would like to appoint, I don't even think I have a motion because it was on consent.
I think Commissioner Hanslick's got the motion in front of her.
I'll let you go ahead and do it.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank
I
you.
move that the Board of County Commissioners approve Resolution Number 056-25, accepting the resignation of Devin Self as trustee of Gardner Township and appointing the 6th District nominee, David Wolf, as trustee of Gardner Township.
Allenbrand, second.
So moved by Commissioner Hanslick and seconded by Commissioner Allenbrand. Is there any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, would the clerk call the roll, please?
Commissioner Fast.
Aye.
Commissioner Myers.
Myers, aye.
Commissioner Hanslick.
Hanslick, aye.
Commissioner Ashcraft.
Yes.
Commissioner Allenbrand.
Allenbrand, aye.
And Chairman Kelly.
Aye, 6 in favor, none against. Is that consistent with your count?
That is correct.
Very good. On to regularly scheduled business on the action agenda. Item number 4 is an interlocal cooperation agreement with the City of Olathe for a cost share in the design and construction of a new parking garage adjacent to the Johnson County Courthouse. Adam Norris is here. Mr. Norris, thank you very much for the robust discussion we had during agenda review last week. Do you want to provide a few updates in the interim before a public comment and then consideration?
Yes, I'd appreciate that. There's been a few changes since last week's meeting based on the feedback that was provided by this board. Just highlight again, I noted that we needed to adjust the motion, and that's reflected in your briefing sheet. And then there are two changes to the agreement itself. The first is on page 3. It's Article 2, Section 3. It's being handed out right now, and it's in red.
Thanks.
This provision is a mechanism for which, in the future, if parking occupancy becomes a challenge for this particular parking structure, this would ensure a process where the county would receive at least 50% of the parking spaces for courthouse users. So it kind of protects the investment in the future if that were to be a challenge. The second change is on page 5. It is Article 4, Section 9. This relates to ADA parking. This, in addition to kind of providing a minimum level of parking, ADA parking for the structure, it also provides a process where there's a review after the first year by the city and the county to see if additional parking is needed. If there is, the city would pay for those adjustments. And then on an ongoing basis, if the county were to request additional parking, that could be done, and the county would pay the cost of that. So I just want to highlight those two things.
Mr. Norris, as a quick point of clarification before public comment, you've had discussion with the city of Olathe regarding these amendments, and they are amenable?
Correct.
All right, thank you very much. All right, with that, we do have 2 registered public commenters on this item, so we'll call on them in the order that they have registered when the clerk gives me the go-ahead. Okay, first is Ben Hobart.
Ben Holbert, Westwood Hills. Chairman Kelly and Commissioners, it is apparent that more parking is needed to directly support public safety operations at the courthouse. On several occasions, I have had to park on side streets when I've gone to research at the law library in the courthouse, so I know from firsthand experience there is a need. I offer the following comments as to the briefing sheet and information I think the public deserves to know. 1, generally in a construction project, funds are released as work progresses. In other words, there are documented construction draws. Your agreement remits $5.5 million, fully 1/2 of the county share, within 30 days of construction commencement. This is not best practices and deprives county taxpayers of interest, which could be earned until such time as construction draws support release of funds. 2, the briefing sheet suggests that the $11 million county funding will be budgeted from sales tax collected from 2017 through 2027. This is not true. Sales taxes collected in the years 2017 through 2024 likely have already been spent, given that the construction of the courthouse costs at least $182 million to build, and sales and use tax revenue from the public safety sales tax number 3, as you referred to it, or more accurately referred to as the courthouse sales tax, has averaged maybe $30 million a year or less. The public deserves to know what is the fund balance in the Public Safety Sales Tax 3 Courthouse Fund before and after the $11 million in construction draws. 3, the public should be aware that at least $193 million of the courthouse sales tax has been devoted to capital expenditures for the courthouse. Thank you for receiving my comments.
Thank you. Next is Charlotte O'Hara.
Good morning again. Well, this is amazing, a brand-new courthouse, and our parking is inadequate. what happened with the planning. And I will tell you that where the parking lot is currently, on the north end, it is very, very poorly designed because you have to walk clear to the other end of the courthouse to enter. I mean, we've spent $193 million on this, and now you're asking the public to spend another $11 million because of inadequate planning. You're spending $5.5 million on a water retention at the new building on 119th and Ridgeview. You don't understand what this is doing to the public. You don't understand, as I own 2 industrial buildings, you don't understand the pain that I have to go and ask my tenants or tell my tenants that I have to raise their lease rates because of taxes. You don't understand. You do not understand. This overspending has to stop. The public debt at the federal level is unsustainable. This debt at the local level and state level is unsustainable. Please get your fiscal house in order. Thank you.
All right, that's all the registered public comments. We'll invite back Mr. Norris. And Mr. Norris, you talked about it last week, but if you'd like to remind the public about the fund balance in Public Safety 3, that'd be great.
Yes, the projected fund balance following this, it's currently 42 million, and following this would be 32 million.
Thank you very much. All right, discussion from the board. Commissioner Allenbrand.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Norris, I want to thank you for all your work that has been completed on this, and just to let everyone here know that this parking garage has been something that's been very important and that's needed. And so I've been very involved. I appreciate that not only the city of Olathe and the county also brought, because we had some complaints coming from some of the attorneys and also some of the participants that were in the court system of not being able to park near the garage. And from the place, from where I come to work, I'm on Spruce a lot. I'm coming up those roads and seeing people trying to get across major highways. So some of the things I want to point out was there was a committee that was put together that hosted not only city employees, but also county, and also information that we got from the courts. And, nobody can predict the population growth that we've had, and we've added, now I think it was 4 courtrooms that had to be added, and this is what that money was designated for. So I'm proud of the county that they had this money in reserved, and they were good stewards of that money. We currently have over a shortage of 62 parking spaces right now, just in the courthouse alone. The agreement, the partnership, is giving access of demand by not only city but also county operations. And I know that you specifically had that put in the contract because I asked you to show it to me, and you made sure that it was in there, that it's in the contract, that if something that we need to designate parking spaces, because that's what I heard my fellow commissioners ask, and I did that as well, wanting to have designated spaces. But for this time, we think that that's going to be under control, but we do have a mechanism in contract. I think it's also important to know that this is a 50-50 split. Also, the maintenance is being provided, and also the risk is being provided by the city of Olathe. And we've had an ongoing relationship with the city of Olathe and maintenance on the garage across the street. And I know that's caused a burden on our own staff and also people coming here not having enough parking, because we have courthouse people parking in that parking garage as well. So that's going to free up those spaces. This is going to reduce the distance of people walking from one area to the other, which is going to reduce risk. And currently, most of the drop-offs that are being made by people that need to drop off, I wanted to let Commissioner Fast know, they're over by the city. And that's been a hindrance because they've had so much construction going on. But normally they would pull up in by the city and do drop-off. So I wanted to let you know that because it's not on Santa Fe. Again, I appreciate, Adam, that you made sure that the ADA spaces were there. You made sure that that it's in the contract to go back if we need to go into designated spaces. And I feel confident with your commitment and that you have been working with the city of Olathe, that you're going to work with the courthouse and you're going to work and continue to make sure that this is done in a proper manner. So I'm in full support of this. And Chair, when you're ready, I have a motion.
Thank you very much. I'll come back to you for the motion at that time. Mr. Norris, a couple of quick points. The land in question on which the parking garage is contemplated is owned by the city, right?
Yes.
So is there any other land adjacent to the courthouse that could serve as a parking structure that's not owned by the city?
Just the lot, the parking lot north of the courthouse that's currently used for that.
The current parking lot itself? So in terms of adjacent space, regardless of ownership, this is the closest place possible for access to the courthouse, correct?
Correct.
And we've all agreed that additional parking, particularly ADA spaces, are necessary here, right?
Correct.
As we look at the Design and Construction Article 4 of the agreement, it discusses the parameters by which the county and its representatives will have an opportunity and a seat at the table to determine programming requirements, qualifications of the design and build teams, evaluation responses, interviews, as well as design, build, plan specifications, and contracts for the parking garage, correct?
Yes.
And although one of the public commenters who mentioned this has left, I want to just clarify for the folks who are here and are listening that there are no property taxes that are contemplated to be used within this project, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Fast.
Yes, thank you. So I went and walked it from the north parking lot. You know, in between the courthouse and ADA and the north side is a secure parking lot for the judges. So you have to walk, you know, from the north around that secure parking, then all the way around the building to the front entrance. And then you go through security, and then you got to go across the building to the elevator. So it was like, wow, almost a quarter of a mile, about 1,200, you know, over 1,000 feet, you said, to the front entrance. So that's a long ways if you're with a walker or a cane, mobility challenge. But just even from this garage, Adam told me it's like 450 feet, which is still a lot when you look at this. And one of the things I hear from people all the time is like, wow, I'm out of breath. I get to, you know, to security, and then I got to go clear across the building, you know, to even get to the elevator. So there's just, it's a long ways for anybody who has disability needs. But I do thank you for this section. I think it clarifies more that we can go back to the negotiating table for more spaces. I've talked to Adam. I think that we need to convene, you know, the DA, the courts, maybe, and human services together. I think more needs to be done. If there's 69 trials a year, let's say 50 people at each trial, you have around 5,000 people just coming to the trials, maybe 6,000. So if you say 10% of those people or 5% have, you know, disability challenge accommodations, you're looking at 250, 500 people. So how could we maybe have a system like when you go to KCI? I was with my friend's mom. We just, you know, put online to Southwest, and they had somebody who helped that person with a wheelchair from the front entrance to the gate. Maybe could we have volunteers through our human services that if somebody puts in a request that I have accommodation needs, then we have a volunteer that meets them with a wheelchair and takes them to the jury room. But that will be, you know, up to, you the thoughts of the courts, the DAs, but I just asked Adam, and he's willing if they could, have a planning meeting, because this won't be built for 2 to 3 years. So what are we doing in the meantime to meet those accommodation needs? And could it be by request, just as with somebody who is blind asks for an interpreter? Could we have a disability request? I need accommodations, I need a wheelchair. So that's just a thought that I have out just walking. I encourage all of you to walk, and it is quite a long length. But I will also say for the planners, I worked in a federal courthouse when I worked for Congressman Moore in downtown KCK. Tim McVeigh looked at the KCK courthouse before he went to Oklahoma City. So these courthouses, you have to have them secure, and there's a lot of security features. So you can't just have a drive up, get out right in front of the courthouse because of the security that is needed. So there is, constraints that was placed because of courthouse needing that security.
Thank you. Commissioner Hanslick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Mr. Norris, for working with the city of Olathe to make the changes in the agreement. Now, the majority of us were not on the board, were not here when this courthouse was designed, so we are here addressing an issue that may or may not have been the previous board may or may not have been aware of. My concern is, what are we doing so that going forward, as we're designing buildings, as we're renovating buildings, that the needs of our differently abled residents are taken into account during the design process? And the thought I have is, we have a DEI coalition, and we have folks on that DEI coalition who represent the differently abled residents. So I would like to encourage and ask that would there be some way, as this parking garage is being designed and future buildings are designed or renovated, that we include input from the DEI coalition, the members of the community. I think I mentioned last week organizations like the Whole Person, so that we aren't in a position where we have to kind of go back and redo some of these issues going forward. So that's my request.
Thank you. Commissioner Ashcraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I've appreciated the questions and comments from my fellow commissioners. And Commissioner Hanslick, for better or worse, I was here. And there was a lot of discussion. And unfortunately, the only one in the room that I see that was also here, or could have been in the room, is Ms. Post Oak Ferguson. Unfortunately, she's not here to correct me or to help with my recollections. But, Mr. Chairman, if I could have just a little leeway, the courthouse in some ways was a contentious development. Aside from the cost, there was a lot of discussion about, or at least some discussion about, well, should it stay in Olathe or should it go to some other community to the east of Olathe? And that didn't have a lot of support, except for maybe your predecessor, Mr. Chairman. But having said that, the decision was to focus on development or redevelopment of the campus downtown. Some options with the old courthouse were considered, were found to be problematic as well as costly. So the conversation turned to the lot, or the block, I should say, north of the old courthouse, and developing it. The early plans had, and while you may say the current facility is tall, the original plans, I think, were 9 stories, so it was much, much higher. And the cost of building up exaggerated the bottom line. So other options were considered, and part of that consideration was, well, if you could flatten it somewhat and elongate it, the construction costs would be moderated and would then require moving into the residential area in the north. During that time, there was also a parking study done, excuse me, for downtown Olathe. And my recollection was there were enough parking places in downtown Olathe to handle future growth and development of the courthouse and generally, but unfortunately, the majority of those parking slots were south, necessitating the discussion of more people would have to walk further distances. And how do you address the needs of the disabled for this facility? So that was discussed as well as many other things. So your point is quite fair. The decision was made to go north because it was looked at the time of building a parking garage behind City Hall, which is now being considered. And at that time, that suggestion idea was put aside because of the cost. And Mr. Norris was kind enough to provide me the actual cost for the parking that was developed for the north lot, north of the courthouse, and it was about $20,000, or I guess the exact cost was $20,000 a slot. I don't remember what the cost was of the parking garage at that time, but it was considered too costly. So now we kind of fast forward, and we have the discussion today about the parking garage and the need for the parking garage. The interesting statistic was that in 2013, the judges and staff were concerned about the volume of people visiting the courthouse, and at that time it was estimated to be 600,000 annually. So one of the interim efforts was to move some of the services that were in the courthouse to what at that time was euphemistically called the food court, the building, the old Dillon's grocery store, for anybody that remembers that, down just east of that, down Santa Fe. By doing that, it reduced the daily count to about 400,000, so a significant amount. The concern that was expressed by staff at the time, however, was that that number would again grow, and unfortunately, I looked for my notes and I couldn't find it, but there was a projection that I thought it was by 2025 or 2030, the population, the daily person count, visitor count, would be back up to 600,000. Well, interestingly, in 2024, the actual daily count, or excuse me, annual count was only 250,000. So the amount of volume to the courthouse is much less than what was projected. And the argument is that is due, at least in part, to the use of virtual meetings, virtual hearings, and so forth. That has kept that count low. And so the whole evolution of the parking issue has been one that has been considered and reconsidered and there are other nuances here. But the bottom line is that the courthouse is going to be here for 75 years, and it may grow in terms of daily volume, or it may not, depending on the use of technology and so forth. But the hard part for me is this current proposal to build a parking garage, adding a net of 225 new spaces, because evidently there are about 379 already there, is going to end up costing the county about $50,000 per space, as well as the city a like amount. And I struggle with that, and I just don't know how I can justify to myself that such an expense is necessary until we are absolutely sure we've exhausted all other options. Now, I do agree there is a need for parking. I do agree that access, ADA access is important, but I just wonder if a parking garage and expenditure of this size is the best and only option worth considering. And I say that, and Commissioner Fast, your comments, I think, struck home, because what brought to mind was when this was all being developed, there had actually been talk of providing, and this is my term, I'm not sure this is the term that was actually used, but a trolley service from the south parking garage area, where additional parking was available, up Cherry, and then through the lawn or the courthouse area to the front of the courthouse on a daily basis or at need basis. And that was just set aside as an idea. But you've raised that issue, and I think it's a valid issue. I just am struggling with the price tag.
Thank you. Commissioner Hanslick, you want to?
Thank you. No, I really appreciate your providing that history and background, Commissioner Ashcraft. And, I'm all about fixing the problem, not the blame. So,
Oh, no, I know.
So that is really helpful to know that what discussions were there. And frankly, like you, I struggle with this expense and this need to build this large building. At the same time, I know, like Commissioner Fast, I have walked that too. In fact, I think it was just after the parking garage opened that I had a call from a constituent telling me I had to come down to the courthouse and I could not physically make it to the front door. And so I went over and walked it, and at that time I talked to Joe Waters about it, and so that at that time those conversations started happening. What could be an alternative? And I know that there was some attempts to work out something with the city of Olathe to provide some access to the ADA parking in their lot, and that didn't work out too well. And so I've seen the staff work through some different scenarios, and like you, I wish there was something else. I wish there was something less expensive. But at this point, I'm satisfied that this is the most equitable and the most possible and most viable solution at this time. And I think that given all the development going on in Olathe, there's going to be ongoing need for parking. I think the Cherry and Lula Street parking garage is often full. So I'm supportive of this. Doesn't mean I wish there wasn't another alternative, but I think this is the best one that's available at this time.
Commissioner Ellenbrand.
Thank you, Chair. Well, I really appreciate all the input from my fellow commissioners. I've lived here all my life, and I helped volunteer on this as this was moving forward. And, we can sit and complain about what people did in the past and reasoning, but, I think one of the hardest things as to be a commissioner, any elected official, is looking into the future and projecting what that might be. And I think that when the courthouse, when they approved that building, the growth that's happened so rapidly, also with the city of Olathe as well, drop-offs that occurred at the beginning and then all the construction they have going on. I mean, not to get off note, but, I wish they would have approved the Southwest Corridor Plan. That would have made my life and also the residents in the unincorporated area a lot easier with that truck, but because of the cost. And you think now what the cost is compared to back then. So I understand why they didn't do everything at one time because of just not knowing the need, but at least they were able to have a place to make that future growth happen, just like the innovation of adding those courtrooms. And I think there's still a little bit more room, and I really do appreciate the staff because this has been in reserve, and this is what the money is supposed to be for, and to help with people that have handicap needs. And I really do feel that they have spent a lot of time. I mean, I've heard from some of the residents over there, I've heard from some of the judges, and also from the attorneys, that they've had input of making their life a lot easier getting in and out of that. So I really do appreciate all the conversation, and whenever you're ready, Chair, I do have a motion.
Commissioner Myers gets an opportunity before the
Sure.
motion. Commissioner Myers.
Thank you, Chair. I too have been part of Olathe almost my whole life, and I've seen the downtown area go through lots of different phases. We are continuing to redevelop the downtown area, and so I think everybody knows that parking is an issue, and we can be part of the solution. As far as exhausting all opportunities, I rack my brain trying to think of what other solutions would be workable, but this is definitely one that I think will handle. It won't solve the problem. There's still going to be issues for whatever reasons. I like the comments that other commissioners have made, but I do believe this will take care of a huge part of the problem, and it also, in working with the city of Olathe, which I think is important for us to do, it helps solve some of their issues with redevelopment. And so, again, we can be part of that solution. Mr. Norris, I like the changes that you made to this interlocal cooperation agreement. I think that's helpful. It met some of my concern that I was worried about with the parking garage itself. But I am supportive that this is the direction that we need to go.
All right, Commissioner Ellenbrand, how about your motion?
Thank you, Chair. I move to approve an interlocal cooperation agreement with the City of Olathe for a 50% cost share of the design and construction of a new parking garage in downtown Olathe adjacent to the courthouse in the amount not to exceed $11 million, and authorize a reallocation and expenditure of public safety tax-3 fund balance reserves for FY 2026 in the amount of $11 million.
Hanslick, second.
Moved by Commissioner Ellenbrand, seconded by Commissioner Hanslick. Further discussion, Commissioner Ashcraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Norris, a couple of questions, if I could. Current estimates were about 62 slots, parking spaces short at the present time. I was wondering, recently, within the last year or so, there had been some discussion that the city had hoped that they could open up spaces in the lot north of City Hall. I'm not talking about the one north of the courthouse, but north of City Hall. Do we have any estimate in terms of how many court, sheriff, DA employees are parking in the lot north of City Hall?
Yeah, we don't have a hard number on that, but I mean, anecdotally, in discussions with the team in Olathe, the city hall's been closed for the most part for quite a period of time, and given certain days, I mean, it's 85% full. So that's a fair. I think it would be fair to conclude that courthouse users are using the city hall lot, especially during this period when it's been closed.
But is there a way to differentiate between courthouse users and courthouse employees?
Not currently.
Okay. Well, the reason I ask is there had been conversation. No one knew the number when I had the last conversation with city and other officials, but other than that, there were some. And my understanding was there was going to be an effort to encourage or require those employees to not park in the city's lot. Do we know if those communications took place and if there was any effort to move permanent or full-time employees out?
It's my understanding that there is some communication from personnel towards personnel in the courthouse about that. I can also say that there were efforts, or there were potential efforts from the city side to limit access to that lot that came very, very close to being implemented, but for us proceeding here.
Okay. Well, was there ever any conversation with Second Baptist Church about using the parking lot on the south side of their building?
Yeah, Kyle, you want to talk, Kyle or Tony, you want to come up and talk about that?
Good morning, Kyle Heltney with Facilities Management. Could you repeat your question, Commissioner, please?
I was wondering if there was any conversations with Second Baptist Church. They have, I don't know how many slots, but a number of slots south of the church that they use for church events, of course, but during the day are often empty.
Yeah, so from my recollection, when the north parking lot was under design, we did meet with that church and had conversations around the use of that lot in tandem with the use of the new parking lot that we were building. And so there was a conversation, but it never got to the point of, yes, we can use that, no, we cannot use that during that time. I would add to that would potentially address a capacity issue, but we are still dealing with a distance issue with ADA. And so I guess that's my comment to your question, sir.
And that's a fair observation. And to me, those are two separate issues. But I'm just wondering if there aren't other capacity issues that we should explore first, as well as addressing ADA potentially separately. So I struggle with this, Mr. Chairman, and consequently, my vote will reflect that concern.
Thank you. So a couple quick points from me, and just trying to take this at a bit of a macro level. Olathe has made significant investments in downtown, and I'm excited for those investments to come to fruition. We'll see Pizza 51 open here in the coming weeks, but also investments in partnership with the federal government on the old post office location. So we know that there's going to continue to be growth and capacity issues in downtown Olathe, and that's a good thing. When you think about the benefits of structured parking as opposed to just surface lot parking, some of it's weather protection, some of it's security enhancements, but then also land use efficiency. Where else in downtown Olathe, directly adjacent to the courthouse, are you going to find an opportunity to build 300 parking stalls? You're not going to find it. This is the most practical solution. In terms of the costs, I understand that it's a number that may raise eyebrows to some folks, but I appreciate the diligence that's gone into the engineering estimates, but more so, construction costs aren't going down. I think we all wish that costs would at some point turn, but we know that that's unrealistic. This is a practical solution with funds that have been dedicated for courthouse enhancements that won't impact property taxes. And I guess to the larger point, we've been talking about parking in this location, and by we I mean this board, not us that have only been here for a shorter period of time, but this board has been talking about parking in this area for over a decade. And there is no elegant solution. I think this is the most elegant solution. But, there's always going to be a way to find or to criticize an avenue that hasn't been approached in a way not to support a project. And if that's your proclivity, you're welcome to do that. I'm glad that the majority of the board is supportive of making investments in the community's future that will enhance the quality of life and access to the courthouse, and I'm glad there's enough of us here to do that with the information provided. So with that, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Commissioner Fast.
Aye.
Commissioner Myers.
Myers, aye.
Commissioner Hanslick.
Hanslick, aye.
Commissioner Ashcraft.
No.
Commissioner Allenbrand.
Allenbrand, aye.
And Chairman Kelly.
Aye. 5 in favor, 1 against. Is that consistent with your count?
That is
All
correct.
right, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Norris. Thank you, Mr. Heltney. We'll move on at this time to item number 5. Item number 5, I'll invite our election commissioner, Mr. Fred Sherman, to the dais for a request for proposal with K&H Election Services for printing and mailing services for the election office. Commissioner Sherman, thank you for being with us here today. Congratulations on filing day on Monday. Thank you for your and your office's diligent work to not only receiving the applications of many folks who've put their name on the ballot for local office, and we congratulate anybody that puts their name on the ballot for local office, but also rapidly getting the website updated so folks could understand their races that will be coming forward in November 1 in August. And we look forward to Lenexa Ward 1 and a good race there and the work that your office will do. Being able to support that, you obviously need printing and mailing services, so we appreciate your presentation last week at Agenda Review and the consideration of K&H Election Services. I really appreciate that we've had at least a bit of a test run with this group, and obviously their cost is enticing compared to its peers. Anything further you wanted to provide to us at this point as we consider the request?
No, I appreciate the kind words. Fred Sherman, Johnson County Election Commissioner. Again, the item before the commission for consideration today is basically approval of a contract. This is initially a one-year contract with 4 one-year extensions for mailing and printing services with K&H Election Services, a firm based in the Seattle, Washington area. So with that, I'll stand for questions.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Ashcraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I had the opportunity to visit with Ms. Lyons yesterday. Mr. Sherman was not available. I was trying to understand the cost comparison. In other situations similar to this, we've often heard staff recommend supporting the vendor who had the best evaluation scores, sans cost proposals, and in this case it was not that. It was actually based upon cost. So I wanted to understand what the cost dynamics and the performance dynamics were, and I appreciate Ms. Lyons spending a few minutes with me to help understand that. The methodology that purchasing uses in situations like this is very reasonable. They offer base comparisons, and then they scale it based upon the work in the particular, in this case, election, and that makes perfect sense. And given the fact that Mr. Sherman has had the chance to test the new vendor and is comfortable with it, I understand the argument and am happy to support it.
Thank you. If there's not another comment at this time, is there a motion? Commissioner Hanslick.
I move to authorize a contract with K&H Election Services for elections, printing, and mailing services at a cost not to exceed $615,000 for an initial period of 1 year with the option to renew for 4 additional one-year terms with an annual cost not to exceed $615,000 per request for proposal RFP 2024-027.
Myers, second.
Moved by Commissioner Hanslick, seconded by Commissioner Myers. I'm not seeing other questions or comments at this time, so I'd ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Commissioner Fast.
Aye.
Commissioner Myers.
Myers, aye.
Commissioner Hanslick.
Hanslick, aye.
Commissioner Ashcraft.
Yes.
Commissioner Allenbrand,
Allenbrand, aye.
and Chairman Kelly.
Aye, we have 6 in favor, none against. Is that consistent with your count?
That is correct.
Very good. Thank you, Commissioner Sherman. And we'll move on at this time to item number 6 on your agenda. That is an agreement, no-cost agreement with AT&T to add a bidirectional antenna equipment to the courthouse. Rick Gissolf, is here to provide any comments or questions. Thank you for your presentation at Agenda Review. I think this matter is well-reasoned, and I'm supportive. Anything further you wanted to provide for our consideration?
Thank you for allowing me to be here, Commissioners and Mr. Chairman. I think the only thing I wanted to just reestablish was the emphasis on the exclusivity for in-building cell coverage with AT&T. That puts an emphasis on our public safety personnel, as well as the public, but more importantly, those working at the courthouse and here at the EOC. Case in point, this week we had that tornado warning. I know that the emergency management team runs on AT&T FirstNet, so this would just enhance their ability to communicate.
Thank you, and thank you for the work of the emergency management team this week. We appreciated being well-informed, and thank you for your continued efforts. Commissioner Ashcraft?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, Mr. Chairman, I had asked that this be pulled from consent, primarily because there was a sentence or a partial sentence that says the county has not historically charged rent for the space provided to the carriers. And I was trying to understand the functionality of this particular request, and Mr. Gissolf was kind enough to visit with me yesterday and help me better understand that in terms of how it will be used and what the intent is. The interesting point, Mr. Chairman, is given the nature of work like contracts like this, I'm not quite sure how to describe it. I'm just wondering why the county manager could not be empowered to make those arrangements. Is there something that requires it to come to the commission rather than just have the manager approve it? And that's not, maybe that's directed to
Mr. Norris.
Okay, whoever.
Yeah, we discussed that internally, and just given it's a lease agreement in one of our facilities, and it was a relatively long-term agreement, we felt, just in the name of transparency, we wanted to bring it before the board for approval.
Okay, thank you.
And I appreciate the sentiment, Commissioner Ashcraft. If we want to have a further discussion about how we can empower staff and the county manager to enter into more of these kind of agreements and thus save the time and expense and staff time of going through the briefing sheet process for these de minimis agreements, I'd be happy to have that conversation, so thanks for suggesting it. Commissioner Myers?
I have a motion when you're ready.
Go ahead, sir.
I move to approve this no-cost agreement with AT&T to add bidirectional antenna equipment to the courthouse.
Allenbrand, second.
Moved by Commissioner Myers, seconded by Commissioner Allenbrand. Any further discussion? Would the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Fast.
Aye.
Commissioner Myers.
Myers, aye.
Commissioner Hanslick.
Hanslick, aye.
Commissioner Ashcraft.
Yes.
Commissioner Allenbrand.
Allenbrand, aye.
And Chairman Kelly.
Aye, 6 in favor, none against. Is that consistent with your count?
That is correct.
Thank you, Mr. Gissolf.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to item number 7 on your agenda. This is an Intercounty Juvenile Detention Center housing agreement. Mr. Sullivan from the Department of Corrections is here to discuss the item. Mr. Sullivan, thanks again for your presentation at Agenda Review last week. An opportunity to utilize some of our existing bandwidth to not only aid existing counties, but to garner additional funds that could otherwise offset or support other programs within the Department of Corrections. Seems very reasonable to me. I am supportive. Anything further you wanted to provide at this time?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No, I'll happy to stand for questions.
Commissioner Allenbrand.
Thank you, Chair. I'm ready for a motion whenever you're ready, if nobody has any comments.
Thank you. Commissioner Ashcraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Sullivan, I thank you and your staff for visiting with me yesterday, day before, this week. I appreciated the conversation. Help me understand we currently have 4 modules of 10 beds that are available to us. And I think you indicated, range from about 9 to 31 people in service. Is that, am I recalling that correctly?
That's what it said, Mr. Commissioner.
Okay, very good. And the estimates that you provided was that if we were at full capacity all the time, heaven forbid, but if we were, the cost would be about $429 a day for all services, all personnel, all costs, something along those lines. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. What I was struggling with was how we arrived at the $150 a day mark and the variable costs between what the operational needs are versus the operational capacity. And I was wondering, could you refresh our memory in terms of why we are focusing on just $150 a day when our actual full capacity costs are higher than that?
Yes, Mr. Commissioner. What I believe I said during the agenda review is that it's just been the customary amount that's charged in Kansas. There's 9 juvenile detention centers, and with the exception of one, they all charge $150 a day. And one of our rationale for opening these beds up to out-of-county youth was to help some of our regional area counties lodge their youth that don't have juvenile detention centers.
One follow on then, Mr. Chair. So, Mr. Sullivan, if the surrounding counties choose not to partake in the use of these beds, then we seem to have some excess capacity. What are the plans for dealing with the best use of that excess capacity?
Commissioner, we have a history in our department of looking at responsible ways to close down units. We've shut down 29 units at the Juvenile Detention Center within the last decade or so. We took 33 beds offline across the street at Youth and Family Services Center. And so we could, if we continue to have a low census, if you will, we're happy to continue to look at responsible ways to continue to close units in a way that do not negatively impact the youth that we supervise in the community.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Hanslick.
Thank you. I appreciate Commissioner Ashcraft's questions because I had similar concerns, but last week you had mentioned that there are times when you have to have different people in separate units, and with 4 units, that allows for that separation. You also mentioned there are times you have up to 31 people, which would require the use of all of those units or modules. My concern would be if we shut them down, then what do we do when there's a need for them? So I'm very comfortable with this. It sounds like it's providing a way for us to not only recoup some of the costs that are going to be there no matter how many people are in that facility, but also to provide a service to the surrounding communities who don't have these facilities. So thank you for the information.
Commissioner Fast.
Yeah, so 4 modules, would you have, like if there's a youth from Douglas County, would they be in the same module as a youth from Johnson County? Or would a county have its own module? But if they wouldn't have their own module for one person, well, I guess sometimes you do have an own module if you're a high-risk one person.
Yes, Commissioner Fast, what we're proposing would be an out-of-county youth would be commingled with the rest of the population.
And so the separation would be if that out-of-county youth has special high-risk needs, then they could be one person in a module.
Absolutely.
So is there some juvenile detentions, ours is very old model, separate 4 modules, that would be a way to open and close more easily, with flow. Have you seen those? You know what I mean? That's, just like a conference room, you can close one door and then you can open it up. Are there efficiencies that some buildings have because our building needs to be remodeled at some point?
I don't have examples based on the other 8 juvenile detention centers. I wouldn't be able to answer that question. I do know that in general, yes, there's always efficiencies that could be realized when you look at building design.
Commissioner Hanslick?
I'm glad to make a motion.
Go ahead.
I move to approve and adopt Resolution Number 057-25 to delegate authority to the county manager or designee to enter into juvenile housing agreements with other counties in the state of Kansas.
Allenbrand, second.
Moved by Commissioner Hanslick, seconded by Commissioner Allenbrand. The way I analogize is like an electric grid. You don't use every bit of capacity on your electric grid every single day, but on those really cold snaps in February or those really hot days in late August, you need all of that capacity. So the capacity, it grows and it wanes at the juvenile detention center, but when you need it, it's much better to have it than to have to try to rebuild it when there's an exigent need. Additionally, it was not just last year, I believe, that we needed reciprocal agreements with other counties and juvenile detention centers within the state of Kansas, and I'm glad that they charged us $150 a day. I think it is reasonable for us to repay that courtesy as well as reap the benefit of offsetting some costs with this agreement. So thank you very much, Mr. Sullivan. Commissioner Ashcraft, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Building on your observations, if I could, your analogy is interesting, but I put it in the context of over the years that I've been on the commission, there have been a lot of discussions about, I'll call it the pod system used in the jail, and the cost of maintaining those pods versus other opportunities. And you're absolutely right. You don't want to cut down capacity so you can't deal with those spikes. But I asked that for Mr. Sullivan, but by comparison, his number of pods is smaller, his population is much smaller, but it's still analogous to making sure that we as a county are being operationally responsible and efficient. So I would say that I hope that we can have similar conversations when we talk about jail costs when we move forward. To your other point, Mr. Chairman, the commission for many years has talked about how does Johnson County support the rest of the state? And what is our role in supporting the rest of the state? And it's been a concern that's expressed that Johnson County, for better or worse, is viewed as a separate entity and in some cases almost an enemy. And we have talked about, this commission has talked about how do we bridge that gap? And while I do bristle at the sheer cost comparison, if you look at it in terms of, yes, it's only $150 a day and it doesn't cover our costs, it does cover, as Mr. Sullivan refers to it, as our marginal costs. But more importantly, I think it does show that Johnson County is willing to reach out to many counties, not just neighboring counties, but throughout the state. So while I will bite my tongue in terms of cost comparisons, I do commend Mr. Sullivan for the effort and would encourage this. And in some ways, I hope you are operating at capacity, and in other ways, I hope you're never at capacity. So thank you, sir.
No, thank you, Commissioner Ashcraft. While I agree, we're an important part of the state, but we're a proud part of the state and proud to work alongside the rest of the great state of Kansas. All right. If there's nothing further with the motion pending, we'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Commissioner Fast.
Aye.
Commissioner Myers.
Myers, aye.
Commissioner Hanslick.
Hanslick, aye.
Commissioner Ashcraft.
Yes.
Commissioner Allenbrand.
Allenbrand, aye.
And Chairman Kelly.
Aye, 6 in favor, none against. Is that consistent with your count?
That is correct.
Very good. At this time, we'll move on to our county manager's report. My condolences to our county manager, Ms. Penny Postoke Ferguson, whose mother passed this week. So we keep her in our thoughts and in our prayers for her and her family. So we'll have a management report from our deputy county manager, Ms. Julie Cairns.
Thank you, Chairman and Commissioners. First, I wanted to start by highlighting an upcoming opportunity for the public to learn more about our 2026 proposed budget. Budget open houses offer the public the opportunity to explore the details of the budget, ask questions, and provide feedback. This year, we've expanded from 2 open houses to 5, and I believe on the screen you'll see the 5 locations. Each event will take place from 4 to 6:30. 4 to 6:30, starting Monday, June 9th at the Corinth Library, Tuesday, June 10th at Central Resource Library, June 17th, Lenexa City Center Library, June 18th at Blue Valley Library, and June 24th at the Gardner Library. The public can learn more about this information and the details at jocogov.org/budget. Next up, I'd like to invite Alex Corrado to the podium. He's with our Management and Budget Department. And the Budget Department and Web Services team have been collaborating on creating a budget guide webpage for our residents, where they can find all the high-level information about our budget process in one place in an easy-to-understand format. And Alex is going to give us a brief tutorial.
Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. I'm just going to give a real quick run-through of this project we've been working on.
You can do the mic.
Thank you. As Julie Cairns said, this is a web page that's going to be on the front section of our website for a budget guide. This is going to go over all information of the budget at a high level, and it'll be really easy to understand for residents. So just running through it really fast. Again, this will be on the front page. Each section of this guide has references to how does the budget work, how do taxes impact the budget, how is it developed, and how can I learn more. We also have this little blurb about the public safety sales tax renewal. We go over, again, at a high level, the components of the budget and break it down into some really simplified versions of these concepts, but each concept links out to a different page if a resident is interested in learning more. We also talk about how taxes impact the budget specifically, and one thing that we've developed specifically to use on this guide and for elsewhere in the county is a property tax calculator. This huge thanks to Dan Steen and his team with Ames. Essentially what this is this is a place where you can enter in You can enter in an address and it pulls up all of your information in essentially a dashboard. And what you can do is in this box in the bottom right here, you can show what a change in mill levy, how that would affect what you pay in property taxes on that property and the effect on the tax that we collect. And that would be true for all jurisdictions, but obviously this one is tailored more specific to Johnson County. So that's going to be a new resource as part of this guide, and we're really excited to get it testing, especially with the budget open houses coming up. And then from there, we have a high-level timeline of how the budget is developed each year. And then we also have a how can I get involved section discussing the open houses, contacting your commissioners, as well as the public hearings that happen. And then at the bottom, we have a quick links section, just essentially to learn more about budget, taxes, et cetera. I want to give a quick shout out to, again, Dan Steen and his teams with Ames, Tim Dodderidge, Brett Williamson, and Bo McCall. Without them, this would not have been possible. And this site is live now, as well as the tax calculator, and we are really excited to get this ready just in time for the open houses. So we're excited to test this out and see how people react. If you have any comments or feedback, or you hear it from your residents, feel free to send it our way so we can incorporate it. And I'm happy to stand for any questions.
Well, Mr. Corrado, thank you very much for being here today. Well done on the presentation, and thank you to your team for putting this together. We try to be as transparent as possible with the budget process and providing not only open house opportunities, public comment opportunities, but this additional tool gives people an opportunity to even participate themselves with the decisions that we make and how that can impact not only them personally, but how that would impact the overall county. So I appreciate the work of the team and the continued effort to try to help folks understand our budgeting process.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right, thank you, Alex. The last item on the report is a major projects update. As a reminder, this report is issued bi-monthly and supplements the Public Building Commission biannual reports in February and August. The report covers major projects over $1 million and master plans. The information contained in the report is through May 31st of 2025, and the full report is attached for your viewing. I won't provide any highlights at this time due to timing, but we do have the team here if there's any questions.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Ashcraft has questions.
Just one. I was wondering on the MEDAC Olathe facility, was there a decision on the artwork that was going to be put in place there? Because there was some concern about making it public access, not wanting the public to be nosing around when they're out doing their work. I just was wondering what happened or what's happening on that.
Sure. Tony Barron, Director of Facilities Management. Yes, our Public Art Commission met in Q4 of 2024 and decided on an outdoor piece for the Olathe MEDAC station, so it will be visible from Monroe.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barron. Any further report?
That concludes my report.
Very good. I believe that the next item on our agenda is commissioners' comments. So I will invite Commissioner Fast to go first today.
Yeah, I just wanted, yesterday's Feed the Need, just incredible. It's always one of my favorite events of the year and all the booths. And would like to talk about our Human Services Department is really low in their food pantry. They had a Chiefs player promote it, so they've lost one of the large churches in town is no longer donating, so they've lost significant amount of donations. So the Feed Need will go to that, but I'm also going to try to promote donating. They have food pantries in Gardner, Lenexa, and Mission, and very much used. So I went to most of the budget open houses. I will say Ashcraft had the most passerbyers at his open house, but I had the most people sitting in chairs listening. But he didn't, we needed Ashcraft to get 5,000, we needed 5,000 people at our open houses to mow your lawn, Commissioner Myers, so I don't think we got 5,000.
4,950, I think, or somewhere in that neighborhood is what, we still can do it.
We can still do it.
I think you meant redistrict.
Okay, now I forgot what I wanted to say. Can you come back to me?
Anything further?
I wanted to say something. Oh, yes, sorry, one more thing. So this weekend, I will be the officiant for my goddaughter's wedding, but why is important? Because I went down to our court services self-help because I have no idea what the legal requirements are to marry someone. And I was so impressed with our Johnson County Court Services self-help. You can just walk in there. They went through what my goddaughter needs to do. They gave me a handout. She was able to call them back. I mean, what a great service for how do you get married in Kansas? Very different than how do you get married in Wyandotte. So I wanted to say shout out to our self-help network. And you're maybe asking, why am I officiating it? Was my question, but she wanted a politician and not a preacher. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, best of luck and congratulations there,
thank
Commissioner
you.
Fast. Commissioner Myers?
Thank you, Chair. I did attend the Johnson County redistricting public input session in Shawnee, and I got there during rush hour, which we had two residents at that time, and one was the director of the library. So, again, I didn't think there would be a large number of people attending in Shawnee, but it is important that we provide those opportunities for people to come and see and be part of the whole system that we're trying to deal with as far as redistricting. I also met with a faith community group in the city of Shawnee to discuss some items that they're interested in trying to promote, not just through the city of Shawnee, but even nationwide. And it was very productive, and that's all my report.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Ashcraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, Commissioner Fast, you and I have something else in common. I'm actually a registered officiant, and I get the opportunity to actually marry my brother in July, his first time, and believe it or not, he's my older brother, so it's a little bit interesting. Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to recognize that tomorrow is the 81st anniversary of D-Day, for better or worse, but for a lot of veterans out there who are passing, it was a monumental time in the history of this country, early of the world, so I thank all of them for their service. And Mr. Chairman, I wanted also to point out that we've had some other momentous events this week. One of our employees here who actually does a lot of work behind the scenes. A lot of people don't know who she is, don't recognize her efforts as fully as they might, but Susan Mayer is having a birthday. If Susan's here, great. If not, if she's watching online, happy birthday, Susan. Oh, and one other thing. Gosh, I'm trying to remember. Ms. Cairns, is there something else I'm trying to remember? Is there another birthday this week? Yes. Today is Julie Cairns, Deputy County Manager's birthday, so happy birthday.
Today? Yeah.
Commissioner Allenbrand.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to say, those of you who have been coming and talking about the homeless shelter, I appreciate you being here, and it breaks my heart that we weren't able to get the Homeless Service Center built, and it's just a shame that we couldn't get the community to support that, because it's so much needed. And so hopefully what little we've done for 1020, I hope that helped in some way of allocation of that money. So thank you for being involved, and if, as you need, I tried to help you with a job, but that was the wrong move, but anything I can do to help, you let me know. I also want to clarify something, because I've been working a lot on housing, and along with the chair, and I just want to clarify, there was a public comment that teachers start at $60,000 a year and they start at $50,000 a year. I think they probably would love to get that $60,000, but it's $50,000. I attended the Downtown Coffee Group, and I appreciate Sheriff Robeson going around and speaking to groups, and I have followed up in my district with the police chiefs to see what their response is, and there is really good feedback coming from just coordinating with our city, so I really appreciate that. I went to Commissioner Julie Brewer's. We went to Spring Hill along with Adam Norris. That's kind of the last of my district, also including hers, on future homes being built with workforce, and so we're about ready to wrap that up. And as I was tooling along the road, Julie actually called me, and I was listening to my playlist and didn't realize there was a tornado warning right on the highway that I was going to. So anyway, I appreciate that. I attended Mayor Bacon's 30 years. Congratulations to him for 30 years of service to the Olathe City Council. That was, if you haven't been in that building, you really need to go up to the very top floor. It's just, every time I go in there, it's just unbelievable. I attended the Olathe City Council meeting on Tuesday night along with Commissioner Ashcraft. And I stayed for the entire, usually when I go and do a presentation, I always stay to hear the entire meeting, but they did a complete study of housing supply and what they can do in the community and what they can do to work with the home builders. And so I am waiting for that study. And Chair Kelly, I think you'd be very interesting. It was very well done. I congratulate their staff for doing that. I attended the Gardner redistricting, And, the staff, I can't say enough, thank you. We've never done it in some of the smaller areas. I had 9 people, which I was excited. I know that's not a lot, but, to have that many people there, I felt like it showed interest, and it scored major brownie points for me in the district because we're holding stuff there in some of the outer areas. So I really appreciate what they've went through. I also want to thank the entire staff for Feed the Need. Just the work that they put into that. And just by the way, I felt sorry for the staff this morning selling baked goods. So I just bought them out, and they're making a donation. So it's on the table back there. So help yourself. I think with that, I think that ends my, and there's also there are meetings going on now with the Southwest Corridor Plan Advisory Groups. I'll report that once that's complete.
Thank you. Commissioner Hanslick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate Commissioner Allenbrand's addressing the housing issues. The county, we have studied what our role can be, but it also takes cities. It's going to take other partners to help address these issues, and I look forward to continuing to do that. I saw that City of Overland Park is promoting some innovative housing development options to try and make it easier for people to build houses. Not that that addresses homelessness necessarily, but the more housing there is, the more we get people into homes. What I did want to talk about is, you might remember actually it was this year, we had a partnership with United Community Services of Johnson County, the Johnson County government, and the Overland Park Christian Church doing daytime warming centers on those days that the public buildings, including the libraries, were closed. Well, we are currently working, we're going to offer daytime cooling centers this summer, currently planned for 3 days. One is Juneteenth, which is coming right up, June 19th, the 4th of July, and Labor Day. They're going to again be held at the Overland Park Christian Church, and the hours will be 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Try to make them a little longer because it's still hot at the end of the day. And I actually have flyers if Mr. Perkins during a break would like to come and get those, and perhaps you and Ms. McEver could help get those distributed to folks that need to have that information. But we are I'm looking forward to our offering this as a new pilot program. Thank you.
Commissioner Hanslick, all the work, and I'm sorry, I just have to say this, she has done so much work. I appreciate your efforts and your commitment, not only in coming up with the ideas and working with the staff, but you have physically been there helping.
Thank you.
So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yes, definitely, we appreciate the efforts. Thank you. Many of the events I attended this weekend have been mentioned, so I will hold off on repeating what's already been said. I will say congratulations to Mayor Bacon on 30 years. That's great. On a World Cup update, as of June 11th, we have 1 year to go.
Oh, wow.
I know. But a lot of good work is moving forward, and an opportunity for the community to see what that work looks like is on June 22nd. There's a community event. It's the Kansas City Community Kickoff event. All are welcome. It's from 12 to 5 at the Asperia campus in Overland Park. There will be kids events. There will be soccer skills opportunities. I promise not to participate. Additionally, there will be a volunteer village. We will need the community to come together and volunteer on any number of fronts to make sure that we take the moment for the World Cup. And I know a lot of people are excited to volunteer, so there will be an opportunity to learn what volunteer opportunities exist and to sign up. So that is, again, June 22nd at the Asperia campus from 12 to 5. Additionally, as has been mentioned multiple times up here, I appreciate the work we're doing regarding the entire housing continuum. We'll continue to do that. One of the things that I know supports people regardless of their housing status is MedAct. And making sure that we have good ambulance service, great MedAct facilities, and the bandwidth to handle the increase in MedAct calls continues to be a priority for Johnson County because they help everybody regardless of your housing status. And so we continue to provide information regarding the Public Safety 3 sales tax that's on your November ballot. If you are part of a community group, a church group, a civic group that would like a presentation to learn more about the Public Safety 3 sales tax, please contact us. We will be there. We want to make sure that people understand the resources and the need that exists within Johnson County. So we'd be more than happy to, and you can contact me directly or the clerk's office, and we'll get that presentation scheduled. We have an agenda review this week for next week, and additionally, a budget session that will begin at 12:30 or as close to 12:30 as possible. But at this time, absent any objection, we'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting. We will then have a 10-minute break, but then we'll start with our agenda review. So thank you all very much. We are adjourned.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.